Hi YouTube, welcome back. It's Peanut again, and I got a little double trouble, not too much. I just picked this up. It's the Stevens 5100 30-inch barrels. Barrels are pretty nice. They got a little bit of surface rust on them. You probably won't see it in the camera. You can see how it's not smooth. That's just some steel wool, maybe some 400 grit, and I'll re-blue that barrel. I won't strip the bluing completely off. Can't read it because it's rusty. Springfield Arms. No, Springfield Arms Company. And then on this side, very tiny, right here, it says 5100. So I'm not sure. I don't think it's real old. And I'm going to sand the stock down and the foregrip like I always do, and restain it and re-lacquer it or poly it. The stock really is in pretty good shape. It's got some kind of artifact right here. I think I can sand that out. A couple little scratches. Excuse me. The foregrip has a big scratch in it right here. I'll try to sand that out. There's no build numbers on this, so it's got me thinking that it's fairly modern. And if I had to guess, 50s or 60s. If anybody has any idea, I'm going to clean this up. Do like I said. The extractors, or the extractors don't have any marks in from the firing pins, which is strange. Usually they're all beat up. The extractor's pretty good shape. Selected forged steel, proof tested, 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch chamber. There's a little bit of case colors left on that. I don't know if I'm going to strip them completely. I might just try my copper pot scrubber. If there's any case colors at all left, I want to try to keep them. But here's the before, and probably why I got this a little cheaper is there's a little bitty scratch. You can see it right there. That'll come right out. But the butt plate is broken. And I got another one I'll just put on it and sand it down. Unless I can find the exact same one on eBay. But this is it before. Thanks for watching first half. So I got my barrels were sanded down. I didn't take all the bluing off, but I took all the rust off. And a couple spots I took down the bare metal. But I find that you don't have to take all the bluing off. You really don't. You get a bare spot and you take, I always been using this super blue rather than the regular blue, perma blue. I'll probably never use this again. But super blue is so much nicer. It works so fast. I just did one coat on these barrels and they're black. Now they need some more oil on them. Because it's a little cloudy, but that just needs some oil. And maybe a little buffing with a buffing wheel. Make them really shine, but they don't need to shine. I got my receiver cleaned up as best as I'm going to. You can read it now. I'm not going to blue the receiver. I'm not going to polish it shiny. Just going to let that go. I got all my metal done. So I looked online for a new butt plate. It'd be really hard to find. This is a really small one, 4 5/8 by 1.5 inches, and they're always bigger, and I have to grind them down, and that would take a lot of time. So I'm just gonna epoxy that tiny little chip. So what I did is I made a dam out of tape, and I put the epoxy in there, and I'm waiting for it to dry. And as soon as it dries, when it gets rock hard, I'll just take a file and I'll make that look as best I can, and I'll just use this. It's the integrity's still there. It's still pretty strong. It's just missing a tiny little bit out of the side, and I'll paint that so you'll see it's been worked on. And then all I'm left with is my sanding, so I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so I got my sanding done. I got most of that heavy scratch out. I might do a little bit more sanding on it. I got most of it out. Nothing but bare walnut now. And I do most of my sanding with this and 100 grit. And then I have some scraps I usually go back over it. Hand sand it. It usually comes out pretty smooth. The walnut's pretty hard, you know, and this 100 grit just takes off the finish. But that's where I am right now. Okay, so I got my stain on, waiting for it to dry. Dark walnut, like always. Okay, so while I'm waiting for my stock to dry, I finished my butt plate. Now that's that Acrylic epoxy. Been using this stuff a lot. It works pretty good. It gets tacky fairly quick, within an hour or so, but it takes about a day for it to get really, really hard. That don't look too bad. I mean, it looks a lot better than it did with the chip out of it. And this will go on exactly the same way. You know, it's the original butt plate, so that's an easy fix. And then I let it spill over on the bottom to kind of give it a little bit more strength. And I hit it with a file, but that's where I am. Okay, so my wood's done. I just did one coat of stain because it's already walnut. It's dark enough. I did 4 coats of this spray enamel clear. It says it's for wood. I got it at Family Dollar or Dollar General, one of them. I was running low on my other stuff. Figured I'd try something new. It worked pretty good. I got 4 coats on. I let it dry. And I always sand it with 2000 grit. Just lightly sand it. Gives it a smooth feel. And this does feel pretty smooth. If my 2000 grit gets like, makes it too flat and too like not shiny, dull, I'll take some rubbing compound usually and just work it a little bit and rinse it off. But this looks pretty good. You can't pick it up from the camera too much, but it's time to reassemble. I want to add, when I sand that finished stock in foregrip, sometimes if I get a run, I'll sand it with 800 grit, and then I'll go to 2000 grit, and it's all wet sanding. It's all wet, you know, you run it under the sink, and I sand it with water on it, running on it with the sandpaper, and the sandpaper lasts forever. But it gets it really smooth. I just want to add that it's wet sanding that I do that with the 2000 grit, or if I use the 800. I didn't use the 800 this time because I didn't get any runs. But it was wet sanding with the 2000. Okay, there she is, all put back together. Boom. The Springfield 5100. The wood looks a lot better. No scratches or gouges. Fix my butt plate. I didn't polish the receiver quite as much as I probably would have liked to. But I think that nice dark patina makes it look natural. Makes it look like it, you know, an old shotgun, just like what it is. The barrels turned out real well. That surface rust came right out of it. Anyway, there's one more. I usually spend about 24 hours, sometimes a little bit more, day and a half on one of these. I don't do a whole heck of a lot to them, but I just enjoy doing it. And then I put it in the gun rack and I look at it and I think, you know, I did that. It gives me a sense of accomplishment, and I like that. Now I got new guns. I got a new double barrel that I really like, but all I did was pay for that. I paid for this, and I changed its appearance. I gave it new life. I just love doing that, and hopefully you like watching me do it. This is Stevens 5100. One more for the collection. And then I'm going to call around my local gun stores and see if I can find another one. We'll catch you next time.